All right. If you are joining me live, I am streaming live into the Canine Learning Academy's Tips and Tricks group. This is the Halloween Masterclass. And typically, this might take anywhere from 75 minutes to 90 minutes for me to be complete. Last year, we've done this I think this is our 5th year in a row, and we normally spread out the information over 5 days. Now, if you are got a lot on your plate, this is not the right time for you to be watching one of these. No worries, it's recorded. And if you're not wanting to watch a long video with a lot of detail, I do have a video book version of this entire content, all of this information. And again, I'll drop that a little bit later. You'll see the recording come out. You'll see it on our YouTube channel, as well as wherever you're watching this live. Now, if you are watching this live, I am going to be looking out for any questions that come up, but I'm going to be pretty focused on just giving you all of the information that I can possibly come out of my head and that we have. I did put together a little presentation for you. Little different than last year. Let me go ahead and pop that screen on there. Let me know if you can see and hear this and see if that screen just changed. So good. We've got shared screen. Perfect. So if you're here watching this live, this is the Halloween Trick or Treat Masterclass. So let me know, drop it in the chat. You can type it in if you'd like. Where are you currently putting your Halloween decorations? Are you one of those people that's got them all over the house? You've got the lights going and you've got some decor throughout the house. Do you go all out for this holiday? Or do you have a few pieces? Or maybe you have some people in the neighborhood that have put out some of the Halloween decor. If you're going to be going to a Halloween event, drop it in the chat. I would love to see how many people are actually going to a Halloween event. Or if you're going to a Halloween event and your dog can go, I'd love to hear from you as well. You can just type wherever you're watching this. You can just type it right into your chat, and then I will come back and read those comments a little bit later. If this is going to be your first Halloween with your dog, so this is your pup's first Halloween, please let us know, because we'd like to personally give you a message. And again, we'll forward you over that video book so you have all of that information. You know, even if you watch this over and over, there's still some bits and pieces that you can get from, from this experience. I myself, I do this every year, and every year I have a different dog maybe that I'm working with, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So and I pull those pieces from there and give to you so that you have all of that information. So I'm going to rush through this. I'm going to talk about as fast as I can, just so that we can keep it going. But the reason why we're doing this masterclass is so that we can inspire and motivate you to spend more time with your dog, and to prepare you for, if you are going to an event, if your kids have an event, that you're a little more mindful of your dog and what could go on with your dog and the experience of Halloween. Right. So there are a lot more people that will be going out, a little more trick-or-treaters. Trick-or-treating is a lot different now than it used to be. I think it's a lot more organized. You've got your pumpkin patches and you've got your places to go to. It's not like random people are going to be coming over. But I do have some special tricks to teach you to pretend like you have trick-or-treaters coming over to the house. I am Armendariz. I'm the owner of the owner of Canine Learning Academy. I'm also a Karen Pryor Academy certified training partner. And I know that's a big mouthful, but in an industry where it's kind of it's not regulated, and pretty much anyone can say they're a trainer, just like anyone can say they're a fitness trainer, right? We do want to have credentials and certification. I'm very proud that I put education first in my learning. It allows me to be with a group of peers that are also like-minded, where we're finding out, what is the best alternative for our training. So I love that about Karen Pryor Academy and the group of trainers that I collaborate with. Curtis is also KPA, and so is Julie. So we have the same style as far as our training methodology. We are all positive reinforcement training. We don't believe in dog having to go through pain, discomfort, fear, intimidation to get training done. So we believe that there are kinder methods in our training. And that being said, this month is all about, for me, building that relationship and bringing a smile to your face and the people around. I love this month. I love being able to do tricks with my own dog, my dogs that I have here in board and train, or the dogs that I personally have. It brings me joy. Not all dogs like being in costume. So those of you that have a dog that's a little bit fearful of being in a costume, don't worry, I have you covered. I don't want you to think because I put my dogs in costume that everyone should. That is not this point. This picture is my dog, Bentley, who you will see in a lot of my videos. He is my little show dog. I like Halloween with him because he kind of gets excited when I bring out the Halloween costumes. Bandit does too now, but Bentley most definitely does because we've always had that experience together. We do a holiday parade each year, and I'll pull out all the costumes and I'll try different things on, and he's associated it with treats. Let's be honest. He's associated with, being able to chew on a bone, but he doesn't just tolerate it. His tail's very flowy. He comes up to me. I give him the choice. Well, now he's about 9.5 years old, and I'm very mindful whether this is going to feel comfortable or if it's going to alter his movements at all. I'm mindful of what it's going to do to him. So I've always should have been, but when he was younger, I wasn't really thinking that way. I was like, well, this looks cute. But now I'm a lot more mindful of what's best for him. Some other special events that we have going on this month. We have our adventure walk this Sunday. It's like a precursor to our Halloween costume parade. So we've been doing parkour the last few months. So if you are part of the Canine Learning Academy group, this is a free walk. We do it usually the first Sunday of each month, but we added an additional walk this Sunday. If you have questions on where and why we're doing it, again, just drop it wherever you're watching this video. The following Sunday on October 22nd at 10 a.m., we have our professional photographer coming out to meet us, and that's our Halloween costume parade, where we just pretty much it's like a walk. With or without costumes, that's not the point. If your dog is a brand new puppy, maybe they're not completely vaccinated. We had a couple of people like Belinda and Timber who carried their dog in a backpack. The experience of being around other people in costume that are mindful of your dog's body language and how they're feeling, it's all going to be good. We're going to make it a positive experience for everybody. At the end of the month, this is our second time. We had one last month and it was a big hit, the Yappy Hour, and that's going to be October 24th, and that's going to be at the Ballast Brewing Company in Long Beach. So why are we doing this masterclass? What do you hope? I hope that you get out of it is to build a stronger bond with your dog, to be able to read your dog when they say, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. Can you give me a little more space? I would love to see you guys have fun together and know what fun actually looks like. I'd love to see you be mindful of, is your dog tolerating it, or do they actually like the experience that they're going through? And can you help them change the way they feel? Do you know how to change from a more neutral response to a positive response to something that you're asking them to do? I'm hoping that you guys get more focus with your dog because you're engaged, because you're reading their body language, because you're doing a few things that you guys get to be close knit. I'd love to see you become more confident. More focused. And then obviously confidence, right? When the dogs are practicing, maybe it was the first time they've seen a spooky witch, and then by the third and fourth time, it's not such a big deal. You should see a difference in your dog's confidence. And that transfers over to other brand new things that they haven't seen before. So when you go to a new environment for the very first time and there's something in the environment, you should have the skills to be able to help your dog. Hey, that's not that big deal. So you help them get adjusted to that brand new thing. This is a picture of Benji, who's much older now. That's a picture of Benji when he was, gosh, Diane, was he about 1? Hey, Stacy, it's good to see you. Good to see your face. Good to see your message in there. All right, I got to make sure. Let me turn my volume down. Okay, so we've got Deanie. We are taking the girls to a Halloween party. Be careful. Mom's assisted living facility. Oh, I love that. Good, good, good. All right, I can see your comments, so keep dropping them in there. You know, be here with me, because this is not always so easy trying to finagle all of these buttons. But the details of today's masterclass is it is recorded and uploaded. I'll put it on YouTube so you can share it with anybody you'd like. I do have a video book. What's a video book? It's basically an ebook. I think it's 48 pages. I did not hold back. I'm giving you everything you need, but I made a video version. If you're anything like me, you're like, I sometimes just don't want to read. I want to read like 5 words or less. So I put a video book together so you can literally click a button and it's like 40 seconds long. Share on Facebook. Yes. Let me know that this was actually helpful. I'd love hearing comments like, thank you, this was really great. Or I tried this and it worked, or I'm struggling through this. This is a community. I really want our community to be the bomb, the best place to go to ask questions, to just have a really good time. So if this experience of this masterclass is hitting you home and you're able to share it, I would love to hear back from you. And this month we are adding in a little bonus because there's a lot of people that are not doing tricks. And I just want to can I influence you to do some tricks with your dog? So on Thursday, October 19th, you'll see me post some stuff right before that. At 11 o'clock, we're adding another tricks class. This is free. It's live Q&A. And I'm going to give you a spell binding routine, and it's all going to be on Zoom. Here are the 4 things that we're going to go over. So you're going to get your dog costume ready. I know you're like, oh, wait, I don't want to put my dog in a costume. That also means putting yourself in costume or being ready with other people that they see in costume. Now, a few years ago, the costume was a mask, right? Everybody was wearing a mask. So that was a costume. Costumes can be a big poofy jacket. If it ever got cold in California, we'd have to bring one of those, or a umbrella, or if you just go from your, regular fitness clothes to something different, that might look different for your dog. So costume ready can be a lot of different things. Knock, knock. So knock, knock is basically door manners. What to do when people are coming to the door, when you want your dog to be able to sit, relax, sit on a platform. Do you want to put them away? So I'm going to talk very quickly about that. Again, if I'm talking too fast, no worries. There's a video book, or you can always just ask questions. Calm and safe has to do with all of these weird, strange things that your dogs are seeing in the neighborhood. Or if I'm doing a remodel currently in Costa Mesa, Stacy, I'm coming back to Costa Mesa. I think you've already heard that, but I'm having to go to Home Depot like almost every day. And they've got all their, they got some really nice, I can't wait to have a house where I can put stuff up, but they have Christmas decor up, but they also have Halloween. The Halloween stuff is massive, but they've got some big Christmas things that are just, that move around and are kind of spooky. So a lot of these things, I'm going to show you how to level up, and then eventually, hopefully, you have the skills and the understanding. Is my dog ready to go to Home Depot and check these things out? So yes, Stacy, we're going to be neighbors again. Trick and treat. So I'm just going to give you a couple. I'm going to give you a recipe. I got a recipe for you, 2 recipes and a couple tricks for you to practice. So hold on. We're going to go pretty quick. So starting with costume ready. Preparing your dog to get used to seeing humans in costume, as well as feeling comfortable wearing a costume. And when I say costume, you're talking a bow tie, a bandana, a collar, a harness, a cone over their head. All of those are considered costumes, right? They're not running around naked. They're putting something on. Now, obviously, I'll also show you how to put on a hat, sunglasses, and things like that. Like my little bandit here when he was I think he was only 4 months old in this little picture here. And then the sight of goblins and things like that. So starting off, I want to tell you why dogs can be afraid. And the reason why I'm going into the why, because a lot of people don't treat the root of the problem. So let me repeat that. A lot of people, when they call, Stacey will testify on this, she'll say, I want to fix my dog. I want my dog to do this. And I'll say, well, what's going on? Why is it happening? I don't care. I don't care why it's happening, but I want my dog to stop barking. I'm like, okay. So when you just treat the problem and you don't treat the root of the problem doesn't necessarily go away. It can manifest into something different. It can get worse or it can completely change. So for example, I had somebody ask about putting an electric fence in their backyard. They weren't allowed to put a fence and they were on a golf course. Cece, the Lulu, the scared cat. So they wanted to put a fence in their backyard and it was an electric fence. And I said, well, let's just think this through. You know, your dog doesn't see this fence, right? The goal is that the dog is able to, you know, be in this surrounded area and, you know, and not go beyond this line. The problem with doing something that's going to scare them is that the dog doesn't necessarily understand why it happened, right? They just know that this just happened when I did this. So if a dog does get electrocuted or shocked or whatever when they pass a barrier, it's not because they passed the barrier, or it could be because they went in the backyard, period. It could be because at the exact same time that this happened, they saw another dog go by, or maybe a human. So it's important that we actually are able to train and understand where this is coming from. And the reason I'm bringing this up, and it's going to be a short, it's probably 8 to 10 minutes. I'm going to go over really quickly, is because I want you to give your dog some grace and some space and give them come from a place of understanding of why they're afraid. All right. So 3 main reasons why dogs can be afraid. And there's a fourth. A bad experience. Now that's pretty obvious. So bad experience could be, you know, like humans, they have the capacity to remember an association with something that they see, feel, hear, right? Certain experience. So the survival mechanism designed to help the dog identify and avoid potential dangers is automatic. So if someone reaches out, like you see this lady in a costume, and the dog thinks it's a negative experience because the person rushed in and touched the dog, the person didn't do it on purpose. We understand that, but the dog's brain creates an association that when someone goes to reach over, this is going to happen to me again. That's what they associate. They associate the hand reaching over. So if someone that looks like this or anybody goes too fast and tries to pet your dog when they're either when they're young or they've had that experience in the dog's mind, whether it's fear or discomfort or pain, the connection is when someone puts their hand towards me like this, I'm going to be afraid. So that is their connection of what those two things, how that works together. Now, after such an event, when the dog sees another person extending their hand or moving in a similar fashion or wearing the same thing or having the same hair color or the same build or a sweatshirt or a backpack, remember, this is the dog's mind. Even if that person has no intention of harming them, the dog might remember that previous traumatic event is the way that they feel. And now they're fearful of anything that looks similar to that. What that looks like later on is you're going to get a cowering or a growl or even an air bite, or maybe they hide, right? In most extents, they might actually hide behind you. The response isn't necessarily about the person, but rather the dog's attempt to protect themselves. So they're not trying to be stubborn. They're not trying to be mean. This is their experience of what they feel. And I'm only telling you this because when your dog is afraid, they are truly afraid. They're not trying to be a jerk. So it is our responsibility to approach them with empathy, understanding that this is just their experience. And then we need to work to help them build a positive association and trust. And we're going to go over that in just a minute. All right. Is that helpful? I know some of you are going, yeah, I do kind of rush things. The other reason why dogs can be afraid of things or experiences is, so I already read that, is lack of socialization or experience. They didn't get enough positive experience. So I just had someone call and they said, oh, I took my dog out a lot of different places, and all the kids got to hold her, all the kids in the neighborhood lined up, and I'm already going, oh, shoot. And I said, well, how were those experiences? Oh, she loved it. She loved it. And I said, how do you know she loved it? Long story short, when dogs lack adequate socialization, they end up not having the understanding whether it's okay to be okay with this. So they lack that experience, and that can lead to fear and anxiety when they see too many people, or they see that same thing that happened before. They haven't seen it enough, right? Especially during that socialization stage. If they didn't get enough experiences, they're going to need a little more time to process things. So imagine growing up and never seeing an umbrella, and then all of a sudden you encounter one being opened up right in front of you. You might step back, go, what is that? It might be startling. It might be terrifying. We have those skills. I mean, especially people that grow up in the city, right? But if you've not grown up with things like that, that might be a surprise and it might scare you. So this is also how dogs experience things they haven't seen before. So especially you guys that have a brand new puppy's never experienced Halloween, it can get a little crazy. So don't think it's going to be okay to just take them to any event. All right, I'm just going to make sure I don't have any questions. Right. Perfect. Genetics is another reason why dogs could have a natural state of fear all the time, or when they have different experience. So genetics is a code that tells the dog, it's inherited from their parents, like, hey, be afraid of these things. So while the environment and training and socialization are crucial in shaping a dog's temperament, genetics also holds a significant influence in how they kind of maneuver through the world, right? And I talked to Cece about Lucy. When I first met Lucy at 8 weeks, she started with an operating system that was a little afraid. She was shaking. This is my first encounter of this puppy. So even though we've done all these things, her natural instinct, most likely genetic or very early on where she was raised, there was an experience that was passed on to her. Now the breed, having a specific breed, some breeds are naturally inclined to be a little more worrying and anxious or reactive. For instance, a certain herding breeds, Stacy, you'll probably go, yep. Some of the herding breeds might be more alert and reactive, especially things that are moving, because it's a historical role for them to actually be in tune with those things. So you take a dog like a border collie and you put them in the city and you're living in an apartment and there's cars going all the time, you might see more reactivity from that dog. They are genetically bred to move around and watch and like, okay, that thing's moving. How do I get that thing to stop moving? It's important to note, however, that there's a vast range of individual personalities within every breed, and not every single border collie is going to have those same characteristics. Okay. So just because you've got that breed, don't start going, oh my goodness, it's not like that. It's every single dog's going to be different. Temperament are inherited from their past, their physical traits, what they look like, their ears, their eyes, their shape of their body, as well as the personalities, whether they're anxious. Poor breeding practices is another reason that, some dogs can be genetically be more likely to be anxious and afraid. So that's why it's important to understand what were the parents like, if you can. Early development in that very, very early stage of the first few weeks, even before leaving the mother. Some puppies that have stressed mothers, whether they don't have enough food or the environment's very stressful, that can actually have other puppies in that litter become anxious. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't be altered. It's just, I want you to understand that fear is something to take serious and not go with the attitude, well, let's just fix it. All right. Last reason why dogs can become a little fearful or coming from an operating system of being afraid all the time or just once in a while is if they're irritable, in pain, discomfort. And that could be as simple as a tummy ache, ear infection, UTI. So sudden changes in their temperament could be related to pain. If you're seeing that, if you're saying all of a sudden my dog is more reactive, go get a vet check, go get them checked out, because most likely there might be something going on. All right, so that was my rant on that. So how do you help your dog be okay with people in costume? Let's go ahead and dive in. So before you introduce your dog to strangers in costume, you're going to want to make sure that they are okay with you and people that they know in costume. This is the very first step, and it's very simple. So here are your 4 steps. Let them check out the costumes. Let them see, spread them all out. Let them check out the costumes. Step 2, try on the costumes or do your makeup right in front of your dog. They'll look at you. They won't think anything of it. Add some movement in your costume. And then step 4 is do something fun with them while you're in costume. So here's a short video of what that might look like. So here we have Diane brings out a bucket filled of costumes and just kind of puts them all out and lets Benji explore. So Benji is just sniffing them. He's encouraged to look at them. Right? Notice that she's not putting it on him. She is simply giving him the option to check it out on at his own pace. Well, he could get less, so he goes and lays down. As long as your dog is not showing any signs of stress, go on to the second step, which is actually starting to put things on. No different than you probably do every time you go out for dinner. Put your costumes on, put things on your head, put your glasses on, put a skirt over your tights. If your dog's still looking at you like, okay, no big deal, like Benji here, he does a big sigh, his heart rate goes down, he starts to chill out, then you can proceed to the next step. This is where you might move in a costume. So now maybe you put a couple things on, like a cap on your head, a cape, and then you start to move around. Now, this is where the costumes become like a little more real, right? Because when a dog sees a person in costume, they're already dressed and they're acting their part, right? They're acting like a witch. Their face is painted and all of that stuff. So if your dog is okay with this while you move around, from this point, you can actually leave the room and then come back in costume. All right. So big shout out to Diane and Benji for helping me shoot this video. And you see here, Benji just takes a big sigh. So this is a training session. Now, if you feel silly doing something like this, have your kids do it. Once your dog is comfortable with you, recruit people in the house doing this in front of them, and then you can proceed on to the other steps. So help your dog be okay with people in costume. How do you level this up? Well, start off with costumes in your home. Next, costumes on someone they know, but in your home where they feel safe. Then costumes outside the home. So maybe you guys walk out and you put a costume on, like we are going to do at the parade. You can even ask the kids, hey, can you put a costume on and have them go out in the front yard or backyard and play? Last is costumes from out of sight. Now, this is where it gets scary for dogs, is all of a sudden there's something appearing that has a costume. So that is how you level up your costume parading in front of your dog. All right. If you have any questions, drop it in the chat. All right. How am I doing on time? I'm doing okay. All right. Moving on to putting your dog in costume. This is my bandit loves costume. He like walks over to me and he puts his head down. So this was my little, was it a Cinco de Mayo costume? It came with the hat and all of that. And he'll put his head down for me to put it on. Important dog costume tips is that everyone should follow to keep your pet safe and comfortable is make sure there's a lot of tips, but one of them is make sure that the thing that you're using to put as a costume is simple at first. Most dogs will not like being in costume. This lesson is to transfer you in introducing anything to your dog and to go slow, to go through the process very slow so that your dog can get comfortable, whether it's putting on a cone, a bandana, a collar, all of those things. Gradually, you can switch over to a costume. If you've got a brand new young puppy and you want to go through the steps, this is just really good training. It really is. I like doing costumes and I like getting into it. And I spend a lot of time doing this with my dog because I have fun and they have fun. We have fun together. And I love watching the kids smile. We visit the senior center and I love watching the people there just smile and laugh and, applaud. So it's just fun. How do you know if your dog's comfortable or not? Well, understanding how to read body language. Signs your dog feels conflicted or distressed are here. We've got lip licking, yawning, pinned back ears, wide eyes. You are going to see some pictures with dogs with wide eyes. Their face changes, their eyes, there you've got the furrow brow. You can see some heavy panting. Even dogs that just kind of like get really small. Another big sign, if you've got a massive foodie and all of a sudden they're not taking food, or we've had this experience just recently, Brutus freezes every time Diane puts this harness on. Specifically, it's a harness. And so in class on Monday, she threw the harness out at me and I put the harness like clear away from his spot. And then he was moving around again. So that's your dog is telling you, I am not comfortable. So that means that if you choose to not listen to them, you're not getting compliance from them. They're not saying that this is fun anymore. This is all about you. And that's not the purpose of this lesson. And this is not the purpose of having a dog. It should be a mutual understanding of, you want to go through the process of making it comfortable for them and helping them. But if they say no, let's respect that. Let's respect the no. And the reason is because you're going to have that solid relationship that the reason why you get a dog most of the time. So what I'd like you to remember is saying to yourself, is this okay with you? And if your dog says yes, then progress to this next step. So I am going to show you how you can get your dog comfortable and what the steps are. This is Bandit in his little Harry Potter outfit. He actually was fine with the costume, but he didn't like being on this little pedestal, but it's good on a costume. So here are your 4 steps for approaching your dog with a costume. So number 1, leave the costume out and let them explore it like we did earlier when you were putting on a costume. You never want to approach your dog with some strange looking thing with a, like moving object and say, here, let me put this on your head and just go for it. Again, that movement of you moving towards your dog with this thing, they're small and they're looking at this massive thing. It's rude. It's rude to do to your dog. And it might make some strange noises. It might smell. Maybe you've had it in the garage for a year. So nearly every dog is going to freak out if you force them to engage with something. Let them process it. Okay. If you just let it be for a second, you'll see a much different experience. Going slow is your best bet. So step 1, leave the costume out, let them explore it. Step 2, present the costume and reward for any engagement. If they touch it, if they step on it, if they pick it up, good. Approach after step 2, then you can basically hold the costume in your hand and see if your dog will approach you. And from there, you can begin to approach your dog with the costume. After you are able to approach them and they're not backing up and they have the freedom to back up, you're not pinning them down. You're not holding them down. You're saying, is this okay with you? Okay, good. If they're doing good with that, then you can go into the final step is where they actually put it on in some way or another. And we start by just having them lay it over their body. So here's a short video on that. So here we have, this is Diane with Bandit. So we're just tossing some treats. This costume was the first time he had seen this costume. We put it down on the floor and let him experience. From there, she is holding the costume and saying, are you okay with being this close to the costume? She moved on to step 3 and she's approaching the costume towards him and eventually touching. And then she moved on to step 4 and laid the costume on top of him. He's still taking food. He has the option to move. She's given him full reign of the room, saying, if you'd like to move, go for it. This is the 4 steps that I just mentioned. So you go through this first before you start actually putting it on them. Once you can put it on them and lay it over their back and they can do that. Now this normally goes really slow, but of course this video, we put it all together at once. Then you can start putting it through their arms and over their head and adding the hat and the glasses and all those things, but go slow. So she's using a lot of food. So here she's asking him to basically stay put and eat while she buttons this up. You can see his tail wagging. There's that tail wagging. It's a soft flowing tail. And then after they've got the costume on, the next thing we might do is do a few tricks, have them do some stuff, have some fun. Right? So this is the process of getting your dog comfortable in a costume. Again, you'll go a lot slower, but for the purpose of having this done in a short amount of time, this is your quick video. I'm going to move on to the next one. So here are your 3 steps once you've put the costume on them, is using a higher reinforcement. You can use a treat like we are here. We're presenting the treat and then we're keeping their body still while we move the costume towards them. They can move at any time. They can say, no, I don't want this. Then from there, you can start to actually use the buttons and things like that. I've got a couple more videos of other ways that we've done this. So here's Bentley with his Where's Waldo costume. So I'm showing you how you can put this over their head. So he takes food and as he eats, I then put it over, feed, 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 and all the way through. Same with the hat. Got a couple more costumes. We've got glasses and hats. So this is a little advanced version of this, but I'm teaching Bentley to hold his nose straight. And I'm saying here, these are the sunglasses. Are you okay with this object, this prop? So I'm presenting it. If he looks at it, touches it in any way, look at him, look at, he's touching the hat. I am marking and rewarding. So I'm teaching him to basically be okay with the prop. Once he says, yeah, I'm okay with it, then I start to move the prop towards him, in this case, sunglasses. Good. Same that goes with the hat, same kind of process. So here he's keeping his chin straight. I'm like, are you okay with his hat? Yep. I'll nose punch it. Yep. Nose punch it. So he's telling me I'm okay with it. Then I'm going to ask him to keep his head straight. So I am rewarding any interaction with the prop. Now I'm asking him to keep his head still while I approach. So there he moved, and I technically should not have kept moving forward. There he kept his head still. So see how he's keeping his head still, and I'm just touching the hat to him. Gradually, I will put, this is a little headband on here for his hat. I'm going to fast forward to the next video. Last one. is once you have your dog in costume, just so they get comfortable wearing it, and let's see. You'll want to have them move around in costume. So I always do some tricks after they're in costume. So here's us doing a round, leg weaves, saying hi. He's wearing his glasses and his leather coat. So once they're comfortable, you get to see and feel how they're moving around in it and what it feels like. So I would request and ask that you guys try to practice in any way. It can be a bandana, it could be a collar, a harness. Play dress up in front of your dog. Practice a positive exposure to a costume, bandana, collar, harness, and describe what your dog's body language looks like. What are they saying if they could talk to you? Do you see any stress signals? Take a look at their head, their ears, their tail, their mouth. If you do this and you post it into the tricks group, go ahead and put a hashtag so I can take a look at that. And I would love to see anything that you put in there. It could be words, it can be a video, or just a simple picture. All right. Moving on to knock knock. Number 2, preparing your dog for visitors and just door manners. So teaching your dog to go to a spot, wait while trick-or-treaters are at your door is ideal, although it's probably not what's going to happen anymore for Halloween. My experience of Halloween is no one's coming to the door anymore, but you'll still want to be able to practice going forward. We're going into the holiday season, right? So you're going into Thanksgiving, Christmas, and maybe there'll be somebody that comes in and out of your house. If not your house, maybe you're going over to someone else's house. Either way, have your dog learn some manners around the door. So steps for this is, what do you want them to do? So when someone's at the door, when the doorbell rings, when someone rings your phone, someone's coming over, what exactly do you want your dog to do? Where do you want them to go? So do you want them waiting right by the door to say hi? Do you want them in the back room? Each of these questions is individually based on what you need and what your dog needs, right? If you've got a dog that's not comfortable around, people coming in the house, you're going to move your dog further away from the front door, because most likely the person that comes to the door is going to be the trigger that sets your dog off. So for that reason, you're going to put them further away. If your dog is comfortable and they've got the ability to stay put, you might move them a little closer. So if they're trained, you can move them closer. If they're still going through the process of training, you're going to move them a little further away. How will you troubleshoot? So how will you make sure that nothing bad happens, that your dog doesn't bolt through the door, or someone comes in and accidentally spills, the plate full of food? What will the signal or cue be that you offer your dog when someone's at the door? So Deanie has a question. This is where my girls struggle, as lone as it. If it's just them, they're fine. But when someone comes over, they go nuts. Okay, good. So I'm going to go over the steps on this. So first is, where will your dog go when someone is at the door? And what will they do? So you can ask them to go to a bed. This bed right here was really far away from the front door. You can have them settle on a mat. You can put another bed further away down the hall. You can put a bed inside of an X-pen, a crate. You can put them into a separate room. You can have them go into a sit. You can have them go onto a platform right by the front door. That's the question you have to ask yourself, is what will they do and where will your dog go? If your dog is overly excited by someone that might be coming to the front door and they're not trained, you're going to be moving further away. Door manners. So once you're working by yourself, first you're going to say, where do I want my dog to go? In this case, we have Bandit on a platform right by the front door. There's no trigger here. There's nobody at the front door, but we're working on the manners of, I would like you to stay put. So you've got the cue of going on a platform. She's building duration. So she's staying right by the platform. The front door is about 10 feet away from her, and she's building duration. Now she's cueing Bandit to go into a down position, because the down position, they're less likely to get up. Between a sit and down, in Bandit's case, he's less likely to get up. Once she's got the down position, she's got duration, she starts to work the door. She's touching the door, she's coming back, she's rewarding from him for staying put. She's just touching the door, pretending to touch the door. Gradually, she's going to open the door. She comes on back, she goes all the way back to him, and then rewards on the platform. She's going to reinforce that platform, building that good association. Gradually, she'll open the door even more. Once you've got the door open, big enough for someone to actually walk through, then you can start adding some distractions. You can pretend to talk to someone. You can, pretend like the mailman's there. You can pretend to pick up packages. You can pretend that someone's, there. So here she's picking up some packages. She's coming back. She's closing the door. She's rewarding. Because if you were really doing, passing out candy, you would be going out, passing out candy. Someone would be talking, and then they would shut the door and leave. So this skill you want to have before you just assume that your dog's got it all. So you've got, where do I want them to go? What do I want them to do? And then build those door manners. That is a distraction. I said this earlier in class, but generalization, dogs don't generalize really well. So you tell a dog to go on a platform and they're like, yeah, I got this, no problem. And you put the platform by the front door and you train this, awesome. You put that same platform, you put it in the kitchen and you start to prepare the meal, they might jump off. And you're like, I just taught you, we've been working on it for 2 weeks. They don't generalize. So you have to go through the same training that you did by the door. You got to do it in the kitchen. You might have to do it, for whatever reason that you're asking your dog to sit or go to a platform. Train each scenario, each environment over. Now, every time you train it, it should get a little faster. All right. Am I talking fast enough? You guys okay? All right. All right. Sharing screen again. Make sure I'm sharing screen. All right, so they're here. So once you've gone through the distractions of door manners and all of that, opening and closing the door, the cue that you say to your dog that means get up on the platform could be something like, they're here. And their dog runs up on the platform, trick-or-treaters show up at the door. So these are all your distractions. Dog can just stay on the platform if you want it. So that's your building duration with distractions. Pass out candy. Right? Then offer your dog a reinforcement for staying put. So that door manners video, and this is the higher, just a higher level of distractions. All right. Moving on to number 3, calm and safe. Now, Halloween is a time of goblins and scary faces, and it seems like it's getting like more and more. And neighborhoods are transforming into these haunted home, fun decorations. And again, it could be scary for a lot of dogs. So I'm going to go through how to help them get through the goblins that they see, but also the sounds that might be occurring when they get close to something. I don't have batteries in a lot of these things for that reason, because I don't want them to go off when the dogs move around. But a lot of these things move around. A lot of the Halloween decor moves, when you move near it, it goes on, and that can be scary. So help your dog be okay with things that are spooky. So let me go through this really quickly and how to level up. So number 1, let them see you bring out the decor. Then offer something fun. You could sprinkle treats around it. You can play a game of fetch or tug. You can simply just let them explore it on their own. Let them explore without hovering. So don't stand over them and go, yeah, it's safe. I promise. Just go touch it. Okay, there's nothing more annoying than that for your poor dog, but it's also, it doesn't give the dog enough time to process. If you let them process, they typically are okay with things. Do some training near the decor. Once your dog is comfortable with the decor, do some training with the decor on the side and do some training next to it. All right. And that's how you can get your dog comfortable with something. Here's what that might look like. So creating a positive association to a brand new Halloween decor. So here's Diane in her beautiful home. She pulled out some decor. Typically you don't want the decor moving and you want to make sure that it does not fall down. She sprinkled some treats. You see Brutus is he's backing up just a little bit. It could be the slippery floor. It's not quite sure, but then she starts to do a little bit of training. So she's doing a little settle on the mat. Now he knows that these things are there. These spooky things are there, but he's going into training mode with that, right next to him. And he ended up doing a full training session with the Halloween, props there. Here's a couple other versions of that. I think this video is frozen, but basically I set up a little ball pit and it had balls in there and it had a little thing that moved, and I set it up and let the puppies, I threw their food in there and let them kind of go at it. You can see by, I think this is Larry's tail, how comfortable he is. And here's another one that we did in the backyard. So this is called an ace free setup. It's where I put a bunch of different things and there's different levels, but I did put the Halloween stuff out. Now taking your training outdoors is another level of it's a higher level of training because sometimes the dogs will hear something. There's just more smells, but it's a great way to up level your training. So once your dog's comfortable with some stuff in the house, take those same things. Now I did a box here. You've got a big, huge Halloween pumpkin. He had never seen a boogie board. We also did a kayak that day. This is a very young puppy and they wanted this puppy to be able to be good with everything. So I usually do a lot of ace-free setups all throughout the training. I did it a couple months ago. We were doing muzzle training. Same thing. I put the muzzle on the ground and put a bunch of stuff around it and let the dogs explore and touch it and sniff it and play with it all on their own without hovering. All right. I know, Cece, this is going to be Lucy's first Halloween. All right. So help your dog be okay with the sounds of things that are spooky, that like all those things that make loud noises. To do that, it's really simple. We do it for 4th of July. We do it for fireworks. We do it for the airplane show, the car shows. It's find the music, the sound that's spooky on YouTube, play it at a very low volume, and then do something fun with your dog while that volume is very low where they can barely hear it. So here we have Halloween horrors and the dogs got a chance to play with each other. And then they did a group training session and some trick training. Gradually, you can bring them use the sound of the spookiness a little bit higher. We tend to do at least 2 minutes of that. And if their ears are twitching, like they can kind of hear it, That's a good sign. If they're, feeling stressed in any way, you've put the volume way too loud. So very little, and about every couple minutes, as long as they're comfortable playing and all of that, you can turn it up a little bit more. Now we do this a lot with all of the board and train, puppy school, all of that. These dogs get, sound desensitization throughout all the different kinds of sounds the city has. All right, moving on to something a little more advanced when it has to do with props. And this can be any prop. It could be something that your dog sees, a statue that looks odd and your dog's, freaks out. You can say, oh yeah, we learned this. So we call this go check it out. And what this looks like is in the end, the goal is that you say something like, go check it out. Your dog walks over to it, maybe looks at it, maybe paws it, touches it in any way. Typically, you don't want them to touch it because it might like fall over. And then they get rewarded for that bravery. So it's go check it out, go look at it, whatever. They look and then they U-turn back to you. So we've got a couple videos at the beginning level of training and then how you can advance that. So here we have, again, this is Bandit. So she puts the prop down in front. If he looks at it, she marks and then rewards. She's actually, she's kind of motivating him to look at the object. In this case, he's touching the pumpkin. And to do that, she's pointing. So she's saying this has something to do with it. She's doing a little bit of a hand gesture. There's a couple other ways that we do this as well. Typically, we want the dog to go towards it and then turn around and get the reward. So here we have Bentley doing that with the pumpkin. So Bentley does a lot of shaping games. So shaping is where, we put something down and he starts to offer all kinds of behavior. So he's going to paw it. I think he ends up actually putting it in his mouth. So when I put that prop down, I'm actually looking at the prop. So I mark it the moment he does something with it, and then I reward. To up level this, once you have this, once it's reliable, you can put it on cue. So if you have your dog goes and you put the prop down and they always go check it out, you can start to put the cue, something like go check it out. Once you have that on a cue and your dog's reliably doing it, and you've done it to random stuff around the house, you can start making that training a little bit, higher. Starting in your home, level 2 would be to put that same prop in the front or backyard. Or when you're out on a walk and you see a fire, hydrant, you can say, go check it out and see if your dog does that. So that's really good. So out on a walk, going around the neighborhood. Level 4 is someplace in public with very low distractions. Then mild distractions is level 5. And then if you're like in the city and there's like lots of things going on, high level of distraction, Home Depot is actually a level 5 or 6 because there's lots of people, there's lots of different triggers. So that's your level 6. So here we've got a couple more videos of what that might look like. So here we have Diane with Brutus. And there was a lot of different triggers here. Some of them actually had like a button to push. So some of the dogs were pushing the button to go check it out and they'd go push the button. Totally different level of training, getting your dog comfortable to be around something that's animated and moving versus standing still. So just be mindful of that. So this is your level 5 or 6 in training, very, very high. So she's putting a prop down. He goes and sniffs it. She's going to mark and reward. Here's one more. This is Davy and Sammy. What I like about this, Sammy was very young at this age, is that there's nothing else on the floor. So there's nothing else. It's very obvious that this pumpkin has to do with something that Davy wants Sammy to do versus the other one that had all these things out. All right. So that's just a different versions of that same trick called Go Check It Out. All right. So if you have decided that you are going to a festivity and you've got, or you've got a Halloween party maybe in your home, it's important that your dog has a safe space to retreat to, especially if there's going to be things going on in your home. A quiet, cozy corner of your house, a bathroom, just like we do for fireworks or any other, massive event, New Year's party. Your dog should have been tired, they're exercised, they're done, and be able to rest and relax versus being overwhelmed. It is not fun for most dogs to go to hang out with you while you're, at a party. It's too overwhelming. It's too much for them. I bring my van when I'm really going to like Thanksgiving at the family's house. I bring my van. My dogs all have their crate. I can put on music. I can do things. They don't have to be in the middle of it. That's not always fun for a lot of dogs. And it doesn't give you the ability to feel comfortable because you're worried about your dog. So if you can create a safe space for them, a place for them to retreat while you can enjoy the festivities, keep the sound minimum for them. So turn on the TV so it blocks out the noises that are coming from your street. Give them familiar toys. If you're out and you're bringing your dog with you, create that space. A soft bed, some soothing music can make that space even more comfortable. If you are struggling with figuring out what that might look like, please reach out to me. We'll help you put together something if you really are going somewhere this Halloween. All right, moving on to number 4. We're getting close. Tricks and treats. So this season is not just for kids. It is for you to enjoy and build a relationship, a stronger relationship. Do something fun with your own dog. So I've got a few things to go over. So send your dog to a platform. I'm just going to give you this one trick to work on for those of you that have not done this before. This could be a bed. This could be a mat, a rug, but I'd love to see that everyone has this one skill down really well. That way you can work on your door manners. It's great if you want to get your dog to be put away for a second. It really does up level your skill set in manners, right? If you're able to just say, hey, go over there, and your dog runs over there happily and lays down, that's going to turn a lot of heads no matter where you are. So choose a platform or a place. And then the first step is to create a positive experience or association with that platform. And then what that looks like, well, typically is just put the platform down and we'll put a couple treats on it. Once your dog's comfortable with the platform or the object, the mat, the rug, whatever you're teaching, then you're going to want to teach your dog to get on the platform or mat or rug. To do that, you can put a treat in your hand and lure them. You can simply just wait to see if they go on it. And when they do, you're going to mark and reward. You're going to reward right on the platform, the mat, the rug, whatever it is. You're going to do that over time. And gradually what's going to happen is you're going to put that mat down, or you're going to stand by that platform, and you're going to see that your dog walks on over to it and gets on it. From there, you can decide if you want your dog to go into a down or a sit, or if you want them to just stand on it. That's totally up to you, but be mindful if you are working around the door manners that if your dog, if a trigger is, on the other side of that door, they're less likely to get up if they're laying down. Once you do have your dog going onto that mat, that rug, that platform reliably, you can put it on a cue. Common cue for this one, I might say table when I have a platform. Some people will use place, spot, or mat, or bed. Doesn't matter what you call it. You can even point to it for all your dog knows, but just be consistent with your cue. Once you have it on cue, then you start to increase duration by just building more time while you stay right next to it. After duration, you add distance. After distance, you continue to practice, but then you use the distractions that are really going to happen. Screenshot this. These are all the steps that it takes to teach your dog to go to a platform or place and gradually put it on cue. So you can screenshot that. Let me see if I think I do have a video on here, what that might look like. So obviously this is Bentley. He has this down pretty well. She's simply just standing next to the platform and waiting. He goes on it, she marks, and she rewards right on the platform. She's also doing a release cue. Once reliable, again, this we call table. So from here, she's going to build duration, and then she's going to build some distance away. So she's cueing it from a distance. So most of the dogs that we train that do this, typically 10 feet. If you guys have multiple dogs, you see the multiple dog household here. You've got Brutus in the X pen, Bandit's behind him on the couch. So management is what you used to work with multiple dogs. So now she is about 10 feet away and she's cueing table. Good. You are just logging on. This is the Halloween trick or treat masterclass. We are getting down to the last few things. Here we have some tricks and why tricks is fun for me. Here is actually Bentley in costume. We have fun. This is over at Peter's Landing. He's in his Captain America costume, and there is his Where's Waldo costume. Leg weaves. Once your dog's comfortable doing these tricks at home, you can continue to practice. Gradually, you can use other environments. Here we are in front of a much more distracting area. I do have a couple recipes for you. One of them is called a spooky pumpkin pooch treat, which is something that you would bake. It's got pumpkin and peanut butter, I think, in it. And the other one is something that you freeze. It's a popsicle version, and it's banana with peanut butter. And I'm going to drop those in there. It's just a PDF. You can just open up the PDF and you'll receive it right away. All right. That is the very end of this masterclass. And if you haven't done so already, we do have a YouTube channel, so be sure that you subscribe to our YouTube. We are going to be pushing a lot of content over the next 3 months, finishing up the rest of the year. If you have Instagram, we are on Canine Learning Academy on Instagram. And obviously, if you guys are watching this live, you're on Facebook. This is a private group, but we also have a Facebook page. If you've watched this, we have this Thursday, October 19th. I guess that's in a couple weeks. We are going to offer a live Q&A, and we're going to go over tricks that you can put together in a routine. All right. We did it. That was 5 days of content, all in an hour and 10 minutes. I'm very proud of that. If you guys have any questions and you've watched this and you're still wondering what you can do to help your dog feel comfortable, I do have a video book that I'll just go ahead and drop wherever you're watching this. It's a link you click, and then you can open up a video book. You can always book a call with me. So it's either with myself or Julie, and I'll drop that link. If you've got questions about whatever you're going through, you got a new puppy, I'd love to know about that. Or if you have specific questions that I went through, you can just drop them in the comments. I'm going to come by the next few days in a row and try to answer those questions, because you're probably not the only one that has that same question. So if you're struggling with door manners, or you're struggling with the specific costume, or your dog is afraid, I would love to have you ask that question in the group so I can provide some support. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful rest of your evening. I did this early in the month so that I can give you guys some time to actually train and practice. I would love to see you guys practice. Send me those pictures and videos right in the community. Let me know what you need. I know that you guys wanted to see a play dead video on tricks, so we're going to do that live later this month. Have a wonderful evening, and thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.